means it's going to be pretty ferocious out there.
Yeah, this is the most important game for French rugby in years, and I feel they realise the importance of it. They've been in the Pyrenees training. They've brought the Livermont brothers back. He's been very vocal in the newspapers.
Ibanez.
They have to win. They need to win today.
Just going through there, Abdel Benazi back in the French team, the giant second row. Back after a long spell with a knee injury. We've got Thomas and Marc Lièvremont, who are brothers, and we've got Thomas and Stéphane Castagnet at half-back for France. They're not related. There's little Ibanez. He said of his players on tour in New Zealand, they have spent their whole time smoking, drinking and treating it like a holiday.
Like a good old amateur days.
Yeah.
But I feel usually you see the French coming out and they're all, you know, steamed up and screaming, pumped up, punching each other. Very cool there. They all walked out. There's not a lot of conversation. It'll be interesting to see how they go in the first 10 minutes.
They've been training at altitude in the Alps. Wales have been concentrating on fine-tuning, really, and I suppose the dangerous thing for Wales today is they've chosen their top 15, and things have been going so smoothly, but if they lost today, it would be a real hiccup in their World Cup preparation.
Yeah, whoever loses, it'll be a big blow for them in their preparation for the World Cup.
Robert Howley, captain of Wales. The actors are on their stage in front of 63,000 people. Colin Jarvis, such an influence in the back row for Wales. The back of Scott Gibbs, I suppose he's an even bigger influence.
Yeah, I feel that it'll be a big test today for the centre pairing. Dorth and Stefan Glass are back. They're very important for the French backline. As I mentioned, the game could be between Neil Jenkins and Thomas Caston. They're 1-1 in their personal battle, and I think whoever wins that battle today will have a huge significance and influence on the match.
Number 3 for France, Peter de Villiers, somebody they've picked up from the Southern Hemisphere. Everybody's at it.
Everyone's talking South African now.
The anthems are sung, the preliminaries are done. Time now for match commentary from JJ Williams and Hugh Llewellyn-Davis.
It is an amazing atmosphere here. It's only a friendly in August, but the match is a sellout. 60,000 people crammed into the New Millennium Stadium, and it could have been thousands more. After a few experiments last week against Canada, Wales today revert to their first choice side. Back come Thomas, Taylor and James at three-quarter, Jenkins and Young in the front row, the all-important Chris Wyatt at lock, and flankers Jarvis and Sinkinson. Just two changes from the starting lineup in Paris in March. Thomas for Robinson on the wing, Young for Ben Evans at prop. France have 9 changes from the team that lost in Paris. 2 new caps, Stéphane Castagnède, no relation to partner Thomas, gets a chance at scrum half because of the injury to Carbonneau, and Pieter de Villiers, South African born and bred, comes in at tight head prop. A number of key players return after long injuries, notably first choice centres Dourt and Glas, and in the pack former captain Abdelatif Benazi and the flanker Marc Lièvremont. The one surprise perhaps, no place for Émile Ntamak. 3 tries in Paris, but on the bench today. Robert Howley has set a record, the first captain ever to lead Wales to 7 consecutive victories, and that's Rafael Ibanez. He leads France today for the 16th time. Referee today is from New Zealand, that's Paul Honnis, 13th international in his 13th year as a referee, and it's Thomas Castagnède who gets it underway. The 75th match between the two countries, and Wales lead 39 victories to 32 with just 3 matches drawn. First touch for Neil Jenkins, and as one would expect, it is accomplished, it's secure and it's safe.
Yes, good solid start by Neil Jenkins, finding the touch 30 metres up the touchline, unless if Wales can compete against the French line, which isn't exactly the tallest French side ever put out.
Wales are bigger up front, they're over a stone a man heavier than their French counterparts, and that will be reflected in the set scrums, no doubt. Benazi is soaring high, taking the first ball. Castagnède to test Shane Howarth and Gareth Thomas. It's drifted towards the Welsh right wing, and there's a big punch up far side. Paul Honnis blowing a shrill whistle.
Leave it.
Touch judge far side is Alan Lewis of Ireland, near side Brian Campbell of England.
Back off. Back off. Now, sort him out. Okay. What do you see now?
Well, all sorts of things were going on in that first line-out. France were driven off that ball as it took the line-out by the Welsh men, and that's where the penalties were taken away.
Because they've just moved off the line out.
Yeah.
I think you need to take them out and give them a severe bollocking.
Okay.
End of story.
All right.
At this stage, I don't think there's need for cut. I think we need to just calm the thing down a little.
Settle it down?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, wait a minute. We've had a kick downfield, so what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll start with a scrum to France back on the halfway.
Exactly.
Out here. Yeah. Okay, so it was 5 red and 2 blue.
5 red,
2 blues.
The men in green as much a team as those in red and in blue these days. And after a very long consultation,
I need your number 5 as
referee
well.
Paul Honnis will take the touch judge's advice and calm the 2 skippers down.
Yes, Chris Wyatt is the man being cautioned by referee Paul Honnis.
Which was you two.
Of course, it always happens early in the game. Ibanez there.
I want discipline today.
To be fair, Wyatt came through on him, but there's indiscipline shown by both sides. That's the first warning for them both anyway.
Okay. I don't want any more, otherwise we'll have to deal with it. Okay.
Chris Wyatt's had an outstanding 12 months for Wales since being introduced to the Welsh team on their South African tour last summer. Recently voted Player of the Year in Wales and richly deserved.
No, you must wait for my call. No halfback, just wait. Engage.
First touch for Stéphane Castagnède, Mont-de-Marsan, his club,
Stop pushing the whistle.
29 years of age,
Stand up, stand up. Okay, stand
and
up. No.
elevated above Pierre Mignoni,
Wait for the calls. Do it, crouch and holds. Engage.
and has his chance because Philippe Carbonneau has suffered a nasty injury. Castagnède wanted to take it quickly. Howley was alert. The referee calls them back.
Back 10, touch judge. Now on the mark here, there's your mark, that's it.
An advantage of almost 9 stone for Wales. That's a stone and a bit per man. The huge presence of the Quinnell brothers, Peter Rogers, David Young, contributing significantly. That's good ball for Fabien Pelous. And it's all France so far. Castagnette again. It's the tester for Howarth. Howarth called for the mark, an awkward one to take right on his own try line. And here's a chance for Ibanez. Sweeps it out. Through comes Benazi. Wales just hold them. And that was just a little rush by Shane Howarth. And the pressure is right on the red shirts.
Yes, he could have steadied himself there. Kick half charge down. Rushed himself. No need for it, really. The French experts at counter-attack. That ball had gone inside there. Benazi didn't quite hold on to it. Wales intercepted.
Excuse me, Robert, can I have your attention, please? Yes. We must
A little temper shown again. So Paul Honest wants to show early on who's in charge of this match. But it was a well-placed kick by Castagnette, catching Howarth in 2 minds on his own try line. Could he let it go dead and minor the ball, or did he have to claim it and call for the mark?
Well, France have started the game sensibly, putting the ball in front of the forwards. I thought last year they tried to play a too pretty a game of rugby where they were moving the ball at silly occasions. Castagnette back at number 10. He's in control so far.
Gary Jenkins now contributing to a vastly experienced Welsh pack. They're a very experienced and settled side these days. Gary Jenkins, 46th cap. In it goes, Scott Quinnell at the back. Jenkins out, Mark Taylor drops the first ball, and the referee plays advantage. Castagnette to his namesake, their extra man. That's a high tackle from Gary Jenkins. But it's still French ball. Benazi driving forward. It's all on the Welsh 10-metre line. The loose pass comes to Garbajosa, and that's out on the full.
Yes, I'm surprised Garbajosa kicked that ball. There were numbers out wide. France should have kept that ball in the hand.
Interesting, Wales wanted to spread their first possession wide, but the mishandling in midfield let them down.
Yes, Mark Taylor, you could see the head was up in the air. He tried to take that ball.
Jenkins finds Wyatt. Use it or lose it is the cry from the referee. And Wales are desperately trying to release this. But again, they've lost the ball. So has Castagnette. It's gone forward perhaps from both sides. But it seems to be a well-set scrum.
Certainly is a nervous start for Wales. Handling particularly good, and losing ball when they're driving forward. There's one thing that Graham Henry has improved so much as he's been in charge.
Quinnell, up comes Howarth, just about held there by Castagnette, the scrum half. Holding on after the tackle. And Howley has turned to Jenkins. Neil Jenkins of Cardiff. It doesn't trip off the tongue, does it?
Well, he's in great form at the moment, but Olivier Mania was the culprit then for France, holding on to the ball as he tackled Shane Howarth.
A high-profile transfer from Pontypridd to Cardiff over the summer to team up now with his national captain Robert Howley. Wyatt again, Howley, Scott Quinnell, Jarvis, and for the third time Wales have lost possession, but France were not the required 10 metres away. So it's a penalty at point-blank range for Neil Jenkins.
Scott Quinnell in the outside half position, but France had come up offside. It's difficult to say how they could be offside there, because the ball came straight off the top of the line out. Chavez knocking it on, but it's a penalty for Wales in front of the post.
Neil Jenkins, only the second player in the history of the game to top 800 international points. He's now on 850. 809 of those for Wales and 41 for the Lions in South Africa. The only man ahead of him is Michael Lyon of Australia. 911 points. That's 3 more for Jenkins. It's the opening at the Millennium Stadium against France, and Wales lead after just 9 minutes of play and against the run of play. Quinnell lurking deep, as he always does, to do precisely that, run back at the opposition. Jenkins flips it back inside to the scrum cap, Brett Sinkinson. Sinkinson holding on. So it's mistakes galore for Wales early on, and the chance for France now to Richard Dourt to bring themselves level.
So Sinkinson there took that ball, and it was a difficult take from Neil Jenkins, who rushed the pass inside to him. But as he was tackling her, he's obviously held the ball. He's waiting for support, and it's a little bit slow coming. France with their numbers. He's holding on to that ball on the floor. And referees Honest right there.
87 points in 15 internationals before today for Richard Dourt of Dax. Injured early on when France lost against Wales in Paris in March, but he struck that one firmly and securely, and it's 3 points apiece, and France deservedly are back on level terms after 11 minutes play. Thomas Lièvremont, the younger brother, playing at number 8. A big rugby playing family. Quinnell, such a powerhouse, 18 stone plus. Howley sensing a half gap. Basking in the glory of success for the Welsh side, the captain, and rightly so. Today, by the way, joins the legendary Arthur Monkey Gould, captaining Wales for the 18th time. Gould did it at the end of the last century, Howley at the end of this one, and only Ian Evans leads the two.
Whistle's gone. Let him go, let him go, let him go. Let the ball go. Hey. No, come here, come here. You are the captain, okay? Whistle gone, you must not drive in right then, okay? All right, I'm giving you a yellow card, you know?
Well, it's yellow card in Ibanez. He clearly said, you are the captain and you are the culprit. He was the one driving in and using his feet. Strong referee, and I feel that by Paul Honest.
Jenkins contemplates. Ibanez, the captain, shown the yellow card by Paul Honest.
Certainly not a friendly, who is it?
It's called a friendly, it never is. And the crowd, the massive crowd, supports that view, JJ. Wales are on the crest of a wave, and all of Wales once again want to be part of that success story. Jenkins again. Just past the post. And this is France at their enterprising best. Richard Durt, it's out to fullback Hugo Mola, the kick and the chase, and back to save Wales is Colin Jarvis, but it's not dead yet. Great work by Peter Rogers, the loose head prop for Wales. Howley hurriedly to Jenkins. Jenkins, and this is mistake after mistake by Wales. Passing on the pressure, and they're lucky to escape.
They certainly are. Can't take your eye off this game at all. France surprised everybody there by bringing that ball out deep, and really could have scored a try, and they deserved to have scored that. Great French enterprise. The Welsh under tremendous pressure. France have chased this ball. Wyatt's trying to get hold of it there. Stefan Glass takes him out, and there's the knock-on comes there from Califano.
The little dummy from Lièvre-Camon. Jarvis being hauled away. It's Castagnède to Castagnède. France have the extra men. Jenkins just closed in on his man. But France full of purpose, full of running, and now they have another chance.
Yes, Sinkerson diving on the ball and killing the ball again, giving another penalty away. It was good defending by Neil Jenkins. Castagnède tried to run outside him. The outer half gets him with the help of Mark Taylor. There was an overlap there. Castagnède could have moved that ball out. But well done, Neil Jenkins.
Richard Durt, son of the famous Claude Durt, JJ, who played in your period back end of the 60s and the start of the 70s. 33 caps for France. That was Father Claude. Straight and true, and no one can deny France. They're the better side so far, and they lead by 6 points to 3.
Yes, the French are certainly up for this game, looking particularly sharp. Of course, they've been altitude training. This is the last rehearsal before the World Cup, and they're certainly up for the game. And Wales at the moment aren't quite living with the pace of the French play.
That's Marc Lièvre-Camon. Welsh scrum. Interesting near side of the Welsh scrum. There's a strong South African flavour. It's Peter Rogers of Wales, who played a lot of his rugby in the Transvaal against the new French cap. And that is Pieter de Villiers, who was brought up at Stellenbosch initially and played for the Western Province. But he traces some ancestral roots to La Rochelle in France, he said, although he qualifies after playing in France for 4 years. That goes against David Young for driving straight up a tight head prop for Wales. Hugely experienced.
And that's a lovely kick by Castagnède there.
Young made his debut for Wales as a 19-year-old in the 87 World Cup, drafted in when holidaying in Australia almost to play for Wales in the World Cup quarter-final against England. Pelous is the main jumper. Lièvremont hovering in midfield. Mania was there as well. Shane Howarth back to Jenkins. This is Mark Taylor, and Wales are on the counter from their own 22. Now it's Howley. He realised there were some blue shirts in the way, so didn't risk the pass. Jenkins again, good continuity by Wales. And Neil Jenkins, the vital cog, 3 times involved in the move. And that's a little more confident and competent play from Wales.
It's Wales showing that they are prepared to handle the ball as well. Neil Jenkins in superb form, instigated there, involved with that move. Scott get big tackle, knocking the ball forward there. Look at Jenkins always looping around, and that lovely pass from him.
Ibanez, a man of Dax, but transferred to Perpignan over the past season. That's hoisted high again to test Howarth. Great take by the Welsh fullback. And away goes. It was a crunching tackle from Richard Dute, but here come Wales. Gareth Thomas is there, David James is there. This is Thomas over from the right. Taylor the link. Howley bustled off it. And it's diving in by the French. And Wales, as we approach the midway point of the first half, are starting to put some worthwhile moves together.
Well, look at that tackle that Shane Howard took. And what does he do next? He just taps it and moves the ball right upfield. Tremendous strength by the full-back. I think he surprised the whole of the French team in the way he got up and tapped that ball.
Neil Jenkins here is closing in on so many records. We mentioned the world record points of 911 by Michael Liner. He's just 4 short of Gavin Hastings' Five Nations points record of 288. He's gaining today his 69th cap for Wales. Ian Evans is just 3 ahead. Remarkable. And he's still only 28 years of age. What awaits? That looks promising from Jenkins. That is a very fine kick indeed. And it's the trusty boot of Neil Jenkins that brings Wales level once again. It's 6 points all.
Well, we're tired of seeing it, isn't it? With Neil Jenkins kicking these superb goals, keeping Wales in this game.
The deep restart again by Castagned, and waiting again was Scott Quinnell. That's high-risk rugby on their own 22, with France quickly up on them. But things are getting better now for Wales. Powerful surge from Colin Jarvis. Up to the halfway line goes the Swansea back row forward. Now it's Peter Rogers. Howley, Howarth, good pass, that's out to Wyatt. Scott Quinnell is outside. It's Quinnell against Lee Ramond. The French scurry back to cover. But it's Welsh ball and it's Howley again. It's out to Jenkins. Craig Quinnell, a try scorer in Paris. Wales 15 metres short, right in the shadow of the post. Scott Gibbs. Gibbs to Brett Sinkinson. Sinkinson weaving his way through. All out attack from Wales, but it's claimed by France. Offside, and Wales will get their reward. Surely it's 3 points. And Richard Durt, the French centre, is lying prone and injured in the Welsh half. Marvellous play by Wales.
Yes, that pass was beautiful. He missed out 3 people. Wide went to look, but you can see it was Scott Quinnell out there, not Gareth Thomas, who was involved on the other side of the field when he brought the ball back up. He wanted to wing it out there. France got back, held them, and Wales again win that ball and move the ball back into the middle of the field. Great attacking play by Wales.
But there's going to be disappointment for Wales. This is Richard Durt, the French centre. But Alan Lewis, the touch judge from Ireland, has come in. He's spotted a Welsh offence, and what would have been a simple 3 points for Wales has been thrown away, and they're going back a long way. And it's a penalty for France on their own 10-metre line. And interestingly, that's only 15 metres away from Brian Campbell's touchline, and some 60 metres away from where Alan Lewis was standing.
We're not going to have any more talks like this, okay? This is about discipline. We could not get a number. A player standing on a player well off the ball, okay?
If you give me the right ball, I can...
Okay, that's great. Well, you talk to your forwards.
time now to talk to the forwards.
Quickly, very quickly. Thank you. And your players must stay disciplined too, okay?
Robert Howley will lay down the law. He realises indiscipline has cost his side the lead. And he wanted just a few seconds.
Yes, it's warm sitting on the bench. You can imagine how the players are feeling out there. The game being played at such a pace.
The noise is deafening and it's a rip-roaring game, JJ.
Fantastic entertainment. Both sides prepared to handle the ball. That's what we want to see. I'm quite surprised at France, the confidence, that the improvement from last season.
It's spot on from all jumpers and both hookers with their throwing in so far. That's good play. Ben Azi. It's great to see him back. One of the great forwards of world rugby over the past decade. Out for a full 18 months with a knee injury. That's very solid Welsh defence in midfield against very determined French running. Ugo Mola wears 14. Welsh defence holds them out again. The ball's gone forward. That was shown by Brian Campbell once again on the touchline. They've had a change of numbers, France. Ugo Mola wears 14 and Javier Garbajosa wears 15. They all interchange positions all the time. It seems that all French wings can play at full-back. And they've had a massive change around since the last game against New Zealand. Mola played outside half that day and Garbajosa at full-back. Castagnet was at centre. Is that versatility or uncertainty, JJ?
Trivial for commentators, I know that. The Welsh scrum there disrupting the French. Ibanez accused of taking it down and the penalty given to Wales.
It's worth noting about Wales, JJ, after the summer moves, that all the players now are playing for Welsh clubs. Only Alan Bateman of the 22 is now playing in England, so the exodus has been reversed.
Yes, and they're all in the top 4 clubs of Wales. Cardiff, Newport, Llanelli and Swansea, as Graham Henry would want.
Gibbs. No one wants to stand in his way. Chavez resetting. Mark Taylor on the straight run. He had the distinction of scoring the first ever try at this new Millennium Stadium when he crossed in that 29-19 historical victory against South Africa. Wales keeping possession but not making much progress as yet. But they have their penalty. It's straight in front, it's 45 metres, and it's a chance again for Neil Jenkins.
Is France not rolling clear? Olivia Mania there, but Wales insisted on punching up the middle. Pelou it was, in fact, who the penalty was given against. Not putting width to the game, they bring in their both wingers down the middle, so Gareth Thomas linking with the centre and David James in the middle of the field, which results in no one out wide. Then they want to move the ball when they win the ball from the second phase. See, Pelou lying offside there.
French pronunciations are interesting. There is a silent S at the end of glass. It is glas, but the S is sounded in Pelouse. I asked for some sort of explanation during the week, and they said it's just a regional difference. Very French.
And of course you've been in the Dordogne for the last 2 weeks enjoying their wine, so you've been studying their pronunciations, obviously.
I've missed the occasional S after a glass of wine or two. There's no uncertainty at all about Neil Jenkins' kicking. That's his third. And Wales again are ahead. 9-6. 28 points he scored last week to lead and guide Wales to victory over Canada. And here he is at it again. variation this time by Castagned. Pops it shorter, but it's taken by Sinkinson, confidently. Quinnell got in the way. The pass was intended for younger brother Craig. And that's knocked forward by number 8, Scott.
Yes, the two Quinnells are the main ball carriers for Wales. Unfortunately, Scott got in the way there.
That's a quite telling statistic. Ball won in open play. Almost twice as much for Wales as for France. That's a lovely little run by Christophe Dominici. So quick on their feet. And that's the driving of Abdel Benazi. Stefan Glad, a little shimmy outside, just about held by Wales, but it was offside. And it was the Welsh skipper who drifted the wrong side. It's a contrast behind the scrum. It's the little guile and the genius and the nimble-footed French against the bigger, abrasive and more physical Welsh backs.
Yes, when I watched the French train, yes, I was worried that they wouldn't have enough possession for these slick backs, because Wales have the power in the three quarters. I was wondering if France didn't have this possession, how would they manage against the likes of Mark Taylor and Scott Gibbs, Durthan Glass, Garbajosa, Dominici, not big men, but of course they are winning quite a bit of ball through Pelou, the second row, which enables these slick boys to perform their skills.
The French coaching Supremos, Jean-Claude Scrella on the right, Pierre Villepreux in the middle. What talent in two seats. Durt has pushed it wide and Wales have a let-off. Durt thought he was away, but he'd crossed that 22-yard line, or the 22 metres. It was touch and go. Durt and skipper Ibanez are both very disappointed. Neil Jenkins, very relieved. Gla, tackled by David Young. Califano is there, Christian Califano. Swept out. The chip through was by Garbajosa, but a little untidy and all emanating from that long misdirected pass from Thomas Castagned.
Yes, there's no need for the long pass there. He had numbers that the ball should have gone through all their hands and they would have had the overlap. There are numbers there, they all should have handled the ball. It wasn't a particularly good long pass.
That's Marc Lièvremont. He is receiving treatment. A hefty challenge on him, the French number 8.
Sinkerson there tackling him high, holding on to that ball as well. Well organised French rucker there, using their studs. That's the perfect ball for the scrum half.
In the background, Lièvremont is being led to the changing rooms. Well, they have two choices. They have Lionel Mallier of Brive, a flank forward, on the bench. They also have David Oradou, who is a lock forward. He could come on, and Benazi or Pelous could go and play in the back row. Chavez making those vital first 5 metres for Wales to put them on the front foot. Scott Gibbs held But it's out to Mark Taylor. Taylor weaving away through. Taken on by Peter Rogers. Never lost for Wales. He's a lucky charm in that red shirt. He's played in every one of the 7 Welsh victories. Jenkins looks back inside. That's Gibbs. Turned in the tackle, but France were offside.
But Wales like to go up the middle of the park, don't they? They pass this ball back inside. See Jenkins a few times there, pass the ball back into Mark Taylor or to Colin Chavez instead of using the width of the game. That's been quite a hallmark of the way they've played the last few months.
Well, they've kept the ball, but they haven't gained much ground.
No, but they are patient here when they do get the penalties, and of course we've seen what this man does. He puts points on the board all the time. There he is, back inside to Scott Gibbs. There, France have been penalised for being offside here. I thought Scott Gibbs was holding that ball on the ground. The referee played the advantage then.
Jenkins looking very carefully at that, and you know, if he does that, it's close. It was the wrong side of the post for the Welsh outside half. When Jenkins succeeds, he turns his back almost before the ball is kicked. He knows it's right in the middle. Gareth Thomas, 36th cap for the right wing for Wales. That's against the replacement. Mallier. It's a yellow card, deliberately impeding Robert Howley when he wanted to take the quick penalty. Mallier has just been on the field for 2 or 3 minutes.
He's not the most popular man in Wales, Mallier, is he, after that involvement with Brive and Pontypridd a season or so ago?
He was involved in the Battle of Brive on the field and sent off in company with Dale McIntosh of Pontypridd. A man who remembers that occasion well, Neil Jenkins, then captain of the Valley side since transfer to the capital city. And here he is, 69th cap, and trying to extend Wales's lead. Chipped it up, chipped it over. It's Wales 12. France 6, and just 4 minutes remain of the opening half.
Such an important player for Wales. Can always get 15-20 points for Neil every game. He's proven the difference for the two sides so far.
Before today, 809 points for Wales in 68 games. And France have another problem, it seems. The little centre, Stéphane Glas of Bourgoin, has gone to the sideline.
Yes, and La Maison is warming up. But I feel here that is a blow, because Glas is a star performer. He makes it all tick in that midfield.
Christophe La Maison is on. He's been out for a long time with injury as well, as had Stéphane Glas. It was Glas' first game in 1999 for France, and it's come to an abrupt end almost at the end of the first half. Quinnell just lines them up, sights them, and runs straight at them.
Watch a reaction by Neil Jenkins when he knows it's over. Job well done.
So we have two players from Brive on as replacements for France. Malier, a flank forward, just his second cap. Far more experienced, Christophe Lamaison. It's his 23rd for the Tricolours.
And the French scrimmage isn't doing particularly well. Again, Ibanez complaining to the referee, and Wales winning the penalty.
Well, Wales have proved over the last 8 months they're amongst the best scrimmaging teams in the world now. It laid the foundation for victory in the series in Argentina, and that's no mean feat. So athletic, Chris Wyatt. So accurate, Gary Jenkins. It's a great combination. It's advantage, and it's been taken by Olivier Magnier. Stefan Castagned. That's a knock forward by Thomas. The disappointed look of a man who tore Wales to shreds as France gained their second consecutive Grand Slam at Wembley with a record score just a season and a bit ago.
Yes, he thought that ball bounced backwards, but it was a knock-on.
It's been a great duel, hasn't it, between Castagned and Neil Jenkins over the past 2 or 3 games. Castagned held all the aces at Wembley. It was a fabulous performance. But then Jenkins showed what he could do when Wales won in France back in March. Won for the first time in 24 years.
Well, you couldn't have a bigger contrast between the two outside halves. Neil Jenkins is a solid performer. Likes to get his passes in.
Bind up and keep the scrum nice and square, okay? No problem. We do it. Don't point the finger. There's two sides.
The pensive look of the Welshman in charge. Graham Henry in the back with David Pickering, team manager, and Lynn Howells, assistant coach, in front. Gibbs took it well at his shoulder. Mark Taylor looks for a way through. Peter Rogers plays scrum half. Colin Jarvis outside half. There are no positions anymore in rugby. This is a bit untidy by Wales, and they need a little better direction than that.
Yes, as we look down on the Welsh team, they're all grouped in the middle of the field. I was saying earlier, there's no width to the game at all. They're charging down the middle of the field and waiting for the penalties.
Chris Wyatt tying the boots. Those are the boots of the subs. David Llewellyn shielding his eyes from the sun. Scrum half recently transferred to Newport, where he'll join up with Shane Howarth now and Peter Rogers. Jonathan Humphreys, the smiling Arab, by his side. Durt, big and powerful at centre. But so are the Welsh pair. Nice play by Ugo Mola. Taken on by Ibanez. Benazi. He's added a presence to this French pack, and this is Castagned. Good tackle. And that allowed Wales to defuse a potentially dangerous situation. It's gone on from both sides. Lots of mistakes, but they add to the excitement at times. Castagned, foiled by opposite number Howley. It's come to Richard Durt. And it's a French scrum at the end of it all. 42 minutes have been played, JJ. How would you sum up this opening half?
Well, the goal kicker of Neil Jenkins has been a difference on both sides. Both sides have made a lot of mistakes in midfield. The handling has been quite poor at times, and when they got themselves into good position, they've lost the ball. And I think that's what the coaches at half-time will say to each side. The ball retention must be better.
There's been an attacking intent shown by both sides, but handling mistakes have crept in. And despite some flowing attacking play, it's just 6 penalties at the moment. 4 of those to Neil Jenkins, 2 to Richard Durt. We've had the occasional flare-up as well. The half opened with fists being thrown, and it ends in similar fashion.
Oh, come on.
Yes, I think both sides are are frustrated. They're trying to play rugby, but they are making mistakes.
Alan, everything all right? Okay, holding on.
In the end, it's a penalty against France for holding on. And Neil Jenkins made a polite inquiry. Is there time left? Plenty of time, said Paul Honis. So it's up that sideline and a chance to attack from the ensuing line-out. And a well-flighted kick at that, up to the French 22. Karen Jenkins reinstated as first choice Welsh hooker when they won in Paris. He's been crucial to that solid Welsh scrimmage ever since, and his throwing in to Chris Wyatt has been exemplary.
That was a wasted opportunity for Wales. Good line out. The transfer back to Howley was poor, and he was smothered by the French forwards who just poured through that line out.
The prowling Graham Henry ready to address his charges at half-time. That was replacement La Maison, a very accomplished kicker out of hand, and at goal. And he's cleared the lines very, very well indeed for his side. That's the end of the first half. Lots of attacking. Wales have come close, France come closer. But at the end of the opening 40 minutes, it's just 6 penalty goals. And Wales lead France by 12 points to 6. The French team already out in the afternoon sunshine here at the Millennium Stadium. One change, at least. Emile Untitled, wearing 16, the man who scored 3 tries from the full-back position when France lost against Wales in Paris by a single point. He's on. Wales leading 12-6 at the interval. 4 penalty goals by Neil Jenkins to 2 by Richard Dout for France. It's the final match for both sides before the World Cup begins in earnest. Wales do have a run against the USA here on Monday, but that's a second string side completely. So JJ Williams, the significance and the importance of the next 40 minutes from a confidence point of view can't be overemphasized.
Well, exactly. It was a disappointing first 40 minutes on both sides. Failed to score a try, a lot of handling mistakes, a lot of ball retention going adrift. Therefore, I think there's been a lot of hard talking in that dressing room by both sets of coaches.
It has been an unfamiliar scenario for today's challenge. For once, it's France trying to re-establish themselves on the world scene. Wales riding the crest of a wave of success. They've won their last 7 on the trot, including a first ever win over world champion South Africa. France have lost 5 of their last 7, culminating in a record defeat last time out against New Zealand in Wellington. And the turning point for both was Paris on March the 6th. Wales winning in Paris for the first time in 24 years, 34-33, as Thomas Castagne's late kick drifted just wide. What a difference a point has made. That is Emile Untitled. He is on for Javier Garbajosa. The silky running skills of Untitled could add to the French threat in this second half as Neil Jenkins gets it underway. It's Castagnette to Castagnette. However, the mishandling early on. And it seems that France have changed their scrum half at half-time as well. It's Pierre Mignoni on. And that's the little chip through from Christophe La Maison. A positive start by France. They said they intended to use most of their replacements during this game, and the coaches have kept to their words.
Well, this is a difficult take for Howard, looking into the sun. Scott Quinnell, as always, number 8, dropping back to help the full-back.
There's also a new prop forward on for France, wearing 21. That's Cedric Soulé of Toulouse. So Villepreux and Scrella have rung the changes at half-time and given the full squad almost a run out already. This is Mignoni out to Castagned. First touch for Intermac, and he's almost through straight away. Begs the question why he wasn't there from the very start. It's a penalty for France as Wales go over the top, and the Tricolours have the chance of the first score of the second half.
Well, deciding not to go for the 3 points, obviously confident in their line out, trying to pick up the pace of the game and score tries.
There hasn't been a tryless game between the two sides since 1973, when France won by 12 points to 3 in Paris. All kicks. Soaring high was Mania, driving for the try line. In comes the pack. Wales try to hold them at bay, but France are within 2 meters, and it's a mad scramble. They're there, and it's the first opening try of this match at the Millennium Stadium. And we'll have to wait and see. It is indeed the replacement, Lionel Malière, who celebrates his first try for his country as he gains his second cap.
Well, the ploy not going for the 3 points has worked. They've won the line out, set it into the ruck there, and then they drive from it. Perfect platform. Scott Quinnell tries to pinch the ball off them, but they take it back off Scott Quinnell, then drive for the line. And there's the replacement Malière driving over for the first try of the game.
France are within a point. It's not quite the end of the game. It's a similar kick to the one that Castagned missed at the Stade de France. This time it's Richard Dourt. And again, there's only a point in it. Dourt has done what Castagned failed to do, and France regained the lead at 13 points to 12.
Yes, first of all, it was a different ploy by throwing to Olivier Mania. Then they throw it back. Mania threw it forward into the prop forwards coming forward, and there's the ruck, and that is well organised. The ball comes back, and the typical French fashion, low driving over the line.
Neil Jenkins out to Scott Gibbs. Gibbs just bounced into Malière. That's Mignoni out to Castagned. Again the long throw, and Castagned came from nowhere, but the pass was forward. For the second time, David Young penalised for illegal driving in that set scrum, and Wales again forfeit a good position. Raphael Ibanez in charge of France. Many in that country rate Marc Del Mazo a better hooker, but Ibanez an inspiring leader. and that's why he's been first choice at number 2 for the past few seasons. France penalised, holding on, but there is an injury, and there seems to be concern in the Welsh ranks. It is Scott Quinnell. He seems in pain, and the immediate reaction from his Welsh colleagues suggested this might be a concern for Quinnell and for Wales.
Well, it is a concern for Wales because the cover in the back row is not good enough, really, and Coach Henry realises that. Scott Quinnell is such an influential player in the Welsh pack, as Neil Jenkins is in the back line, and those are the two positions where Wales are thin with strength and depth. Quinnell falls awkwardly there, and they all drive over him. Penalty's been given against France for holding on to that ball on the floor.
And you could see Quinnell's face screwed up with pain as he fell awkwardly. That's sad for Scott Quinnell, for Graham Henry and for Wales. But it does bring on Mike Boyle of Llanelli for his 19th cap. He'll slot in at lock, I'm sure, and either Chris Wyatt or even Craig Quinnell fall back to the back row. "29 years of age, 6'5", almost 17 stone. Will give Wales an extra option in the line-out, Boyle, but they'll really miss the power and physical presence of Scott Quinnell. It's a penalty against France again. They've crept it within 10 metres of a Welsh line-out, and Paul Honis has been very, very vigilant indeed in that area of play.
Yes, the French never learn, do they? They give a penalty away for being offside from a quick line-out the first minute of the game. Here they are beginning the second half, giving penalties, easy penalties away. Difficult to tell from this angle how the French midfield are offside, but considering the ball came off the top of the line, they must have been standing 10 metres up from the word go, which is very indisciplined rugby, isn't it?
It's 4 out of 6 so far for this points machine called Neil Jenkins. That's 5 out of 7, and Wales are back in the lead. It's Wales 15, France 13. As the big scoreboard says here at the Arms Park, it's Cymru 15 and Frank 13. Big screens at both ends now of the Millennium Stadium here at Cardiff. And it's younger brother Craig now taking the responsibilities of senior brother Scott, who's left, lying deep for that restart and trying to put Wales on that front foot. That's a variation from Neil Jenkins, the kick and the chase. And the chase came from Chris Wyatt. It's gone forward from France. It'll be a set scrum and a blue ball.
Again, more handling mistakes by both sides. Chris Wyatt did well there. He jumped, trying to put off the French catcher, and Wales did well there, man. He had the ball on the floor. They turned him the correct way and took the ball off him. Then Wales lost the ball to the French once again. As Chris Wyatt will go into the number 8 position from the scrums, but Craig Quinnell, as you said, went to number 8 for the kick-offs.
Wyatt started up at Newport as a lock. He was transferred to the back row when he moved to Neath. And then Graham Henry made him a lock forward once again. This is Howley away. Gareth Thomas. Penalty Wales, holding on France. And it's still very, very scrappy. And still riddled with mistakes and illegal play.
Yes, and Paul Honis isn't exactly helping either. But tremendous scrummaging by Wales enables Rob Howley to pinch that ball and to put out to Gareth Thomas. I mean, only the scrum half was a good tackling, comes in there, and he is the one who was penalised eventually. Let's see if he holds on to that ball on the ground there. He does dive in it after he's made the tackle on Gareth Thomas, and that's where the penalty is given away. Watch Minoni coming over here. He lifts up Gareth Thomas, bangs him down. Let's see if he holds on to this ball.
It's an awkward angle for Neil Jenkins, and it's a testing distance. 5 metres in from the right-hand touchline. Oh, he struck it powerfully. What a great kick by Jenkins. That's the best of the afternoon. And it's once again Neil Jenkins against the opposition on the scoreboard. And it's Jenkins 18, France 13. 12 minutes played.
Well, you can't say enough about his goal kicking. Deadly, and the whole of the world must be watching this game and thinking in the World Cup that they can't give penalties away when they play against Wales.
That surely is a penalty against France, driving through on the Welsh players. Soulet, that's the prop forward. Six seasons with his home club of Béziers before he moved to Toulouse over the summer. They have a clutch of international props there, JJ, and there is rumour that they're trying to change perhaps Christian Califano into a hooker for them and utilise some of these international props they have at the club. That's good play by Wales, and Gareth Thomas goes bursting down midfield. Now it's Howley, Jenkins. Oh, it's been lost. France were offside, and that's the most decisive play we've seen from Wales all afternoon.
It was Gareth Thomas coming in from the blind side, did all the damage. A beautiful line out, well orchestrated, and then the blind side right to wing. Gareth Thomas took that inside path from Howley, fabulous, and then the French midfield gives the penalty away. Gareth Thomas had set this ball up. France were offside in midfield. Difficult to tell if they were or not, but the pass to Gibbs went straight into his face. But as the build-up to that maul was the important thing on that play. Now watch this line out here. Wyatt straight off, Rogers handling out. Now watch Jenkins. Gareth Thomas was inside Howley then to take that ball.
Jenkins stroked it, he's turned, he's run away, and that's 21 points for the Welsh outside half. Noticeable how comfortable Welsh players are in different positions. Peter Rogers, loose head prop, took up his position at scrum half, fed his captain Robert Howley. It was all clinical, it was all practiced, and it all worked very well. Onto the field comes Marc Delmazo of Colomiers, and the French captain Raphael Ibanez has left the field. Gibbs, Sinkinson, Howley, Jenkins will have to hurry. Covering is Olivier Mania. Sinkinson goes low, helped by Wyatt. Mignoni feeds out to Antimac. But the Welsh defence is so composed, hands there in the ruck. And Mignoni wants to increase the pace, up the tempo. Richard Durt takes it forward, up to the Welsh 10-metre line. Mignoni again, 2 sharp scrum halves for France this afternoon. Mallier held, stopped in his tracks by Scott Gibbs. And this is great Welsh defence and good continuity from France. They're keeping possession well. Lionel Mallier driving forward, in behind is Mignoni, Abdelatif Benazi, but the scrum half had just touched it forward. An impressive period of play from both sides. France in possession, Wales in defence.
That's great defending by Wales, but good ball retention by France. But again, they couldn't put much width into the game because Wales denied them with all the fierce tackling. France driving over the ball. That's the perfect ball back to the scrum half. But then the adjustment there on the forward pass to Benazi as he was driving through.
And little Pierre Mignoni of Toulon could feel a bit aggrieved there. It seemed on the replay the ball might have gone backwards and not forwards. But what a tackle, especially, well, you know who, Scott Gibbs.
Yes, he's been waiting for this, hasn't he? He hasn't put in many tackles. As Taylor made for him, shoulder in to Mallier there. Such a strong presence in midfield, like an extra back row man for Wales.
He loves it. The man of the series for the Lions in Test victory in South Africa 2 seasons ago.
Duth showed a bit of strength that last. I don't see much of Richard Duth in the centre, driving through Sinkerson, hanging on to his jersey and falling awkwardly.
Well, that's a sad sight once again for Richard Durt. And he's very, very unlucky against Wales, constantly. Injured in 97, he was injured in Paris again in 99. He left the field on both occasions, and he's forced to do so again. And that looks a nasty knee or ankle injury for the powerful French midfielder. France have changed things around. They put Castagnette at centre. Ugo Mola has gone to outside half, where he played in that record defeat against New Zealand. Castagnette with Ntamak were at centre that day. Jenkins fires out to Mark Taylor. Taylor inside to Gibbs. Gibbs is clear. Gareth Thomas outside. They're looking both ways. The kick, the chase for Thomas. Thomas! No! Howard! No! France clear. Tantalizingly close, but it could not be converted into the try that it should have been.
It certainly should have been a try. They should have been closer to Scott Gibbs when he made that break. France stayed between Scott Gibbs and the outside players. It's better try gun a begging for Wales there.
And does that, JJ, emphasise the one little weakness that Welsh have in their side? Graham Henry's aware of it. There's no genuine pace behind the scrum, where a clear-cut break just results in an inevitable try. France go down in that set scrum. Wales have a penalty. Now, will this be a shot for goal, or will it be the corner, a line-out and a drive?
Del Mazo very upset with the referee there, collapsing the scrum. I got to admit, I wouldn't have thought they would have wanted to collapse the scrum so close to the Welsh line.
They go for the corner. Now it's Gareth Jenkins. Keep your eyes on the roaming Chris Wyatt. He's come to scrum half, and Mike Boyle will be the main jumper. Now comes Wyatt. In he comes. Craig Quinnell. He scored in 3 successive games earlier in the year, including Paris. Now it's out to Gibbs. Gareth Thomas, well held by Castagnette. The little man held the big bustling Welsh wing. It's back to Howley. And it's French ball. Now then, how crucial will be these 2 minutes when we come to the final count. We're into the final quarter. Wales lead 21-13, but they've come so close to extending that lead.
Yes, they should have scored. Scott Gibbs had to kick the ball because no one was close enough to him. Carol Thomas lacked the yardage pace to get right on his shoulder.
Again, that dominant Welsh scrum is starting to show its power and its strength. It's rocking the French back on their heels in the tight play. And once again, it's a penalty for Wales. And this time, Howley has no doubt. He turns to Jenkins.
But we've seen this so many times, so how many times we said the French indiscipline cost them the game. They're complaining against this referee here. Singerson so good on the ground, chasing every loose ball.
We've lost the referee's voice in the second half. Mr. Paul Honnis of Hamilton, New Zealand, hasn't reconnected himself. .24 points, 8 penalty goals. It's already a record in the France-Wales game. Jenkins has broken the record of Gwyn Evans of Maesteg, who scored 6 some 20 years ago in victory at the Arms Park.
But Wales would have wanted a try there, and they deserved a try with that lovely break by Scott Gibbs. When putting pressure on the French, that they should have turned that pressure into points through a try.
France scramble and retrieve it for once. Mignoni leaving it for Marc Del Mazo. Christophe Dominici had a quiet afternoon on that left wing. France driving up to that Welsh 22, and hands on the ground by Wales. It is locked forward. Fabien Pelouse now in charge of France, by the way, and he has a word with Thomas Castagnède. Castagnède says no thank you and leaves it for Christophe Lamaison. So many goal kickers in this French side. They're leading. Their number one choice for today, Richard Dout, has now left, so replacement Lamaison will aim for goal.
Well, there were hands in there by Wales trying to scramble that ball back. Del Mazo driving low, their typical French fashion, and that's where the hands go in by Peter Rogers and Craig Quinnell.
Lamaison had a fabulous time for Brive in their European Cup winning run 2 seasons ago. No mistake at all. And the gap is down to 8 points. And it's just about 15 minutes, plus any added time, left at the end of this second half. That is the well-respected former referee international Clive Norling. Now he's having a word with Paul Honnis. I wonder if they're discussing the fact that a Frenchman replaced has come back onto the field some 5 minutes ago, and when they reorganised behind. Yes, indeed, Javier Garbajosa has been called by Paul Honnis. And he's been shown to the dressing room. You're an expert on law, JJ. Does that mean that France now continue with 14 men?
Well, they're going to have to. But I thought this was a friendly, so obviously Wales doing France no favours there. Of course, the rest of their substitutions now are all forwards, so they're going to have to play a forward somewhere in the three-quarter line if they're going to take the numbers back up to 15.
Clive Norling explaining his decision. Even after retirement, it's hard to keep this man out of the picture. And now there's a conference on the touchline. I wonder, are they threatening strike action out there? Fabien Pelouse wants a word. Pieter de Villiers is there as interpreter, one presumes, as a South African born and bred, understanding the English language perfectly well. And that means we'll have the strange, bizarre situation of a lock forward, David Agoradou of Stade Francais, preparing to come on as a replacement for Javier Garbajosa, a fullback or a wing. Now then, how do they cope with this? But the law states, of course, players are only allowed back on if they're front row players for safety or if they're a blood replacement. That was a half chance for Howley, created by himself. And now France at sixes and sevens, they're in complete disarray, and Wales are swarming for the ball and what could be a killer blow. Good composure by France in desperate straits, and a fine clearance by Christophe Lamaison.
But Rob Howley again chasing everybody, charging that kick down. Work rate incredible.
Many injuries by France, and that's testimony to the power of the Welsh challenge in the tackle and in the ferocious rucking as well. Chris Wyatt up, Jenkins, Scott Gibbs, out to Howarth, Howarth back inside to David James. David James, we haven't seen much of him this afternoon, over from the left wing. Howley, that's well placed, the chase is on, and it's put safe by Hugo Mola, but Wales were offside. The chasing Mark Taylor and Craig Quinnell were in front of Robert Howley's kick.
Yes, and so Olivier Amania, the back row man, has gone into the midfield for the French. But now Wales have so much advantage out wide against the French.
France have further problems. Another man is led to the touchline far side. That is the new cap, Pieter de Villiers, it seems. And just to emphasise the point, we now have Christian Califano legally back on the field because he is a front row forward, and they need their full complement on the field. Mania coming from deep, halted, driven back. That really is great Welsh defence, and all the red shirts on the field join in applause for the work of Brett Sinkinson initially and the help of his comrades. What a star this man's turned out to be. Never lost either in a Welsh shirt. Wyatt, Howley, Howarth, Gareth Thomas couldn't take it. Castagned back inside, Fabien Pelouse. Sinkinson the tackler again. 10 minutes remain. Wales lead 24-16. Thomas Castagned, Christophe Lamaison floats it out to Emile Antamac. Antamac taking on the Welsh three-quarters. A fine tackle by Mark Taylor. Little Mignoni, the scrum half, came through. It's all on the Welsh 22 far side, and France have to score to try and get back into this. But how many times have little mistakes, just mishandling at the wrong time, cost both sides dearly, France especially, during the course of the afternoon.
It's so untypical of the French, handling mistakes. Supposedly the best handlers of the rugby ball in the world, but this afternoon they've been a great disappointment. They put together 2 or 3 good moves, but then spoiled it all by this mishandling.
The ball was out. Now it comes to Jenkins. Jenkins for the break. They were ready for him this time. They didn't expect it in Paris. Howarth turning back inside, looking for the safety of the numbers of the forwards. And they've regrouped. It's out to Gibbs. And he'll plough a furrow down any midfield. That's a searing kick by Shane Howarth. And it has to be played by Ugo Mola. A huge chunk of ground gained by Shane Howarth.
Yes, I was looking at the French team, very slow and going back to help the full-back there. Obviously feeling the effects of the heat this afternoon, considering they've been altitude training. It's not showing, is it? Jenkins going for that mid-break. It's good to see him try and break that line. It's so important to someone get over that gain line. Castanet hasn't touched it this afternoon.
Jarvis recovered it for Wales. Howley, they're desperate for a try. It could come. David James. James for the corner. David James gets Wales' try. It's his 6th try for his country. His 5th in the last 10 games.
Fantastic try. Just what the game needed. And you won't get a better try from a set piece than this. The loop around by Howley. A lovely long pass and Gareth Thomas in from the blind side. And that pass from Howarth was the important pass. And there's nothing wrong with the strength, with the speed there. He goes for it outside his man. Fantastic try. From a different angle. The loop around between the half-backs is the important thing. Then the missed pass, Gareth Thomas in from the blind side, but it was that pass by Howarth. Gives it to David James, who drifts outside the opposition. That is one of the best.
You can't score from first phase, they say. That theory was laid to rest. That's a great try, and Wales are up to 29-16. They're in a commanding position, and it could be even better. It is. Remarkable goal kicking once again by Neil Jenkins, and suddenly the Millennium Stadium is alive and the crowd is ready to greet Wales' record 8th consecutive victory. They are just 6 minutes away.
Robert Howley was crucial play there where he looped around Neil Jenkins and threw out that long pass, and then that pass by Howarth was a gem.
Claimed by Jarvis. Howley waits, Jenkins stands behind to be cleared to touch. And perhaps it's worth noting as well, JJ, a distinct improvement in Wales' play at the restart. It's been an Achilles heel for years now, but at last they seem to have got it right. Whatever the variation today from France, except on 1 or 2 occasions, Wales have coped. They've regained the possession and they've gained the upper hand.
Yes, they've worked hard at that. I haven't said that here. The kicking off by France has been poor. They've insisted on kicking it into the Welsh 22, whether either Craig Quinnell or Scott Quinnell before him are taking it so comfortably.
Wales once more is a land of song. That went forward, the referee had turned his back. La Maison to Antimac. The power of the tackling once again is too much. Howarth, he spotted the gap and he's exploited it perfectly. Howley on the chase, just goes dead. And the noise at what was the arms park, at what is the Millennium Stadium, is absolutely deafening.
Incredible atmosphere. Shane Howarth saw that gap in the corner and correctly just popped the ball over there, put the pressure on the French.
It's been a subtle change by Shane Howarth over the past 5 or 10 minutes. It's paid huge dividends. Big kicks downfield and putting the pressure right back on the tricolours of France. Delmazo in. That's Benazi feeling the pace now and feels. Benazi out of the game for 18 full months, and in the heat of an August afternoon he's now suffering. It's out to Antamak. They're still in their own 22 and Wales are swarming towards the tackle. They have a vice-like grip on this game and they won't let it go.
The France are trying to play rugby through the three quarters. Castanet trying to bring his outside backs in, but they just haven't got the platform up front. It's been a hopeless French forward effort, certainly in this last 20 minutes.
Harsh indeed.
Well, I tell you, there's real pressure on Skrella and Villebreau now. World Cup only a few weeks away.
There's huge pressure as well on that French 8. Wales have gone from strength to strength, and wisely they went for the quick Channel 1 ball to release as quickly as possible. Thomas Castagnede, Olivier Manier, and again Wales have stolen possession away. The first knock-on came from France, so it's a well-set scrum. And it has to be said, JJ, there's only one side in it now.
Certainly Olivier Manier slow to get up off the floor there. He took that ball into the tackle, dropped it forward straight away. I mean, all know in modern rugby you can't have back row men dropping the ball in the tackle. Well, they look worried, man. And it's understandable too, isn't it?
Chris Wyatt operating now at number 8. Good pass to Shane Howarth, although the fullback just had to hesitate. Held by France, penalty to Wales. For once Paul Honis could have played advantage perhaps with the ball in Robert Howley's hands. Now then, will Welsh skipper go for the touchline? The gap is 15 points. But he turns to Neil Jenkins once more.
It's been a very professional performance by Wales the second half. And France did try to pick up the pace of the game after half-time. Wales defended well, and as per usual, the French didn't agree with some of the decisions made by Paul Honis, and of course they've fallen apart.
It's 9 out of 11 for Jenkins so far. He set a new Welsh record in the championship last season with 64 points. His Welsh record in a game is 30 points against Italy. That came after their marvellous win in France. He now stands on 26 for this afternoon. 26 points again. He likes it. The crowd likes it. 2 judges agree, and it's now becoming a convincing and emphatic victory for Neil Jenkins and for Wales.
Well, I watched the French train yesterday, and I did say to someone I thought Wales were a good 15-point bet, because they look so small, the quarter line and up front, and it has proven the case. Been very weak forward platform for the French, and this will not see them do anything in the World Cup if they insist with this sort of team.
Castagnede restarts. Chavez challenges for Wales. It rebounds to Mark Taylor. Taylor setting it for Howley. They're brimful of confidence now, Wales. And that's the galloping Craig Quinnell outright once more. That's where he scored his try at the Stade de France. Oh, good combined play until Sinkinson lost it. And away come France. Lionel Malier, their try scorer at the start of the second half. And it's out to Thomas Castagnede. Olivier Manier takes it, but there's no way through. This is a resolute Welsh defence. Whatever's thrown at them, they're more than prepared to take it. And it's aggressive defence at that. And Tamak comes. Dominici is past Wyatt. Just held by Quinnell. And Tamak again. Fabien Pelous held and driven by Gareth Thomas. The kick through, and this will be a second French try. The opportunism of Pierre Mignoni, the replacement scrum half. And France get their second try. They're up to 34 points to 26 behind.
Which just shows what France can do, but we've seen so little of this in this game. We've seen the forwards and backs hand the ball superbly for this try. And the ball goes to ground, lovely kick on by Mignon, lovely pick up and a nice try for him. Some consolation, but they will not be happy with their performance this afternoon, which has been quite dismal.
Mignoni, his second try for France, only its 6th appearance. Opportunist, alert, good skill, and they're ahead of Wales by 2 tries to 1. La Maison. That's a fine kick, right in the middle.
That will give them hope, and possibly if they can... Oh, that's it.
The final whistle has been blown, and that completes a remarkable change around for Wales. In 12 months, they've gone from the depths of despair now to the slopes of hope and expectation. That's their 8th victory on the trot. They haven't done that in almost 30 years. They've beaten France in consecutive games for the first time since the mid-70s. The final score here is Wales 34 and France 23. Well, the World Cup no longer is a frightening prospect for Wales. It's no longer a pit of potential deep embarrass. Next time out, it will be a momentous occasion for them. Argentina on October the 1st in the opening match of the World Cup. And Wales now stride forward with confidence. France are left in despair to pick up the pieces.